Cordell Woodland here from 105.7 The Fan, the Ravens beat reporter, also the co-host of The Fresh Take with my guy Ben Hall, which you can hear tonight on 105.7 The Fan, live on the Odyssey app and streaming live on YouTube as well. Former Ravens head coach John Harbaugh is finalizing a 5-year deal to become the new head coach of the New York Football Giants. Here are 3 thoughts that I have on the first major domino to fall in the head coaching market. Number 1. What happens with GM Joe Schoen? Is he a part of John Harbaugh's vision for the future of the New York Giants? Joe has a 22-45-1 record as the Giants GM. He's brought in some talent. There's some talent on the defensive side of the ball. Brian Burns is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence is one of the better interior defensive linemen in the league. I like Jackson Dart. I thought he had a solid rookie year. Malik Neighbors, he's great. We'll see what he looks like when he comes back off the injury. But there have been quite a few misses in there as well in draft picks. Kayvon Thibodeau comes to mind. I don't think he's as good as people thought. Let's not talk about some of the whiffs that they have on the offensive line as well. And no bigger whiff than losing Saquon Barkley to a division rival in the Philadelphia Eagles, who go on to win the Super Bowl in Saquon's first year in Philly. I think that's a borderline fireable offense itself. Also, let's not forget the Daniel Jones extension that he gave as well. So I just wonder if Joe Schoen is going to be a part of the long-term vision of John Harbaugh, and does John Harbaugh have the power to send Joe Schoen to the exit? Number 2, as somebody that's covered the Ravens for the last 5 seasons, I feel like I have a decent grasp on this version of John Harbaugh, and I am interested to see the dynamic between John Harbaugh and the New York media. It's not going to go as smooth as it did for him here in Baltimore. And look, as somebody that's a part of the Baltimore media, I can attest, we don't hold a candle to the New York media when things go bad. It can get really sour out there in the sports world between the powers that be and the media in New York. So I am curious to see that dynamic, especially if things don't go well right off the bat. John can be a guy that gives answers that people don't want to accept, and John typically doesn't care. So I'm just curious to see how that working relationship goes between John and the media in New York. Should be fun. Number 3, this could work. This could work. The Giants have been looking for stability at the head coach position since Tom Coughlin. And I would argue that John Harbaugh is kind of cut from that same cloth that Tom Coughlin was. Both of these guys are old school football minds. Both of these guys are very, at their best, they can be hands-on across the board. They don't necessarily, I think Tomlin was more of a defensive guy, and Harbaugh has a defensive background as well. He was a secondaries coach. I know a lot of people always talk about his time as a special teams coordinator, but let's not forget, John was heavily involved with the Ravens defense, especially during the last 2 years where Zach Orr was the defensive coordinator. It didn't go great, obviously, but I do think John can bring New York that stability that they're looking for. He will be that adult in the building. And while it did get stale in Baltimore, that same feeling could be refreshing for New York, considering John is bringing something that they've lacked over the years, which is stability, which is winning. John has been a winner throughout his time as a head coach. I do think he can bring that mentality to New York, especially considering they have a lot of young players right now that are still looking to achieve something in this league. So I think that this will work. But my concern is when it starts to not work, what happens then, going back to point number 2? Does John's friction with the media, his disconnect with the fans, does that carry over to New York when things go sour? Hopefully they don't.